take a look at these prize cards, see what's unavailable. That Scream Tail in the prize cards. And Urban Vessel City, there is something brewing, and that's not a good potion at all. KIAN has gotten no way to search these energy cards out of the deck with this powerful item card, and that lack of energy discarding and search could come back to bite him if that Gardevoir isn't able to put in work at accelerating energy cards.
Yeah, and just to confirm for everyone at home, that is all 3 copies of Earthen Vessel that the deck plays. There aren't 4, so there's even one little vessel that can go for all 3 of them the prices. That is absolutely brutal. And of course the one-off Screen Tail attacker as well. Those are some nasty drafty prizes.
KIARAN does have both of those lightning energy prize, so something like Lavincia, that stadium card to help retrieve energy cards and provide some consistent fodder for Gholdengo. It will not be accessed, but this is going to be it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this final Swiss round. KIAN AMINI up against KIARAN FARA. How will things play out? Is KIARAN actually deciding to go first in this spot? You see that purple ace spec, that's a great card to play in the future, but at least having Buddy Buddy Poffin means Gimme Ghouls can come down and pressure will be on the following turn.
And I don't know if my eyes deceive me even, but I think we're starting with a little bit of monkey business here as we see a Monkey Dory versus Monkey Dory start. Of course, one of the most sort of low-key powerful Pokemon, maybe in the whole standard meta game, of course, with that Adrenaline ability. If it has a Dark Energy attached once per turn, you can take 3 damage counters on one of your Pokemon and move it to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's been pretty much something that you want to try and include in your deck ever since it's been released because that ability is so powerful.
This card has warped the standard format as we've known it from its release, but it feels like as time passes, the card just gets better and better and better. Just an insanely powerful card. Buddy Buddy Poffin will go ahead and search out these Gimme Ghoul, deciding to just get the 50 HP Gimme Ghoul early on. Call for Family is always a nice attack to have access to, but more so, you've got to just go ahead and evolve that Pokemon up, because if you leave it in play for too much time, Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain abilities, since KIAN plays multiple of the KIARAN's only got the 1 copy of it, could be a factor in just allowing you to take easy prize cards that just don't need to be taken if you take the right precautions.
Yeah, and KIARAN's going to be feeling pretty happy about those prize cards here. As you already mentioned, the 2 Lightning Energy prize isn't great because it means you don't have a flexibility with Lavincia to get those energies back, but otherwise you're feeling pretty good about that. So 1 Buddy Buddy Poffin, a fire attachment to the active for retreating purposes, and then a pass. Let's see how KIAN responds.
KIAN's got a great hand to work with. Some of those Psychic Energy, which remind you cannot be searched out of the deck, that's in hand, as well as Arven. KIAN is leaning towards this Technical Machine Evolution build of Gardevoir, playing 2 copies of that card, wanting to just do exactly this on the first turn. Play Arven, grab a way to search these Pokemon out, Buddy Buddy Poffin, Nest Ball, however you want to get things out. Just go ahead and evolve into Kirlia, not rely off of Rare Candy, not rely off of these combinations of cards, and even potentially trying to establish the Jellicent Freya. That's going to be a big card in this matchup.
Yeah, it really is. Now, an interesting thing that we see here in KIAN's list, with the release of Jellicent EX, one of the big debates around the way the Gardevoir lists have been built is, what's the correct amount of Jellicent to play? Some people actually have decided, you know what, Jellicent overall isn't worth it. It does give some strength, but it's too much of a liability in other ways. I don't want to run it. Some people are actually opting just to play the Frillish, essentially as a higher HP Budu that does a bit more damage. But it looks like KIAN is kind of splitting the difference here a little bit in the middle. 2 Frillish and 1 Jellicent EX for KIAN. He's decided that's the correct amount, and that amount seems to have been serving him very well so far.
Tried and true start. We've seen this time and time again. Arven for Technical Machine Evolution and Secret Box just allows you to get everything your deck wants up and running, the gears turning, cogs turning as well, as it just grabs every trainer card available. Supporter card, item, tool card, and a stadium card. And that just means tons of Pokemon will hit the board, evolution pieces will be put into place. As long as KIAN can continuously find energy cards to play down and discard, his strategy will be executed flawlessly in no time.
Yeah, and I'm sure in an ideal world, probably the item he would like to get would be that Earthen Vessel, just to really start the chain of getting a bunch of energy in the discard pile. Not going to be an option here, but as you already mentioned, thankfully did open with 2 Psychic Energy in the discard pile, so can at least get a couple there going. Of course, going to keep 1 in hand to make sure you can fulfill the attack cost of that TM evolution. That's very important.
Yeah, and grabbing the Technical Machine Evolution, making sure the other copy is not prized, and can just kind of use that as discard fodder. No need to find any other tool cards. The only other one in the deck is the Technical Machine Devolution. We'll see how important that is later on the strategy. And because KIAN can lean into this TM Evolution, is going to discard the Rare Candy item from the hand and just value getting a ton of basic Pokemon down and into play thanks to this Nest Ball and Artisan of 2 of these grabs from the secret box.
Yeah, got to give an art choice shout out here for KIAN playing that Plasma Blast gold rare candy. Like it was really the first ever gold or really high rarity print of that card, and I don't know, for me, absolutely gorgeous. I love that. It's the one gold card I have a playset of it myself. Don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it. Love the gold candy, the old one.
A little bit of style on display. All those play Pokemon stamped cards from the prize packs. KIAN, he's got a good chance of arts. I hope you at home agree as well. Nest Ball will grab this Ralts. And now the question is, what was the other Pokemon going to be grabbed? And this was going to be my question. Do we value just getting Jellicent out and into play? And it seems like that will be the choice. Can just use this Technical Machine evolution. The Ralts will get evolved to Kirlia. Frillish will be evolved into Jellicent EX. And now KIARAN is sort of essentially expecting this Jellicent to start to get powered up and ready to swing as early as next turn.
Yeah, and I think that there's a kind of a very fair risk evaluation in the sense that KIAN is happy to only have one Ralts out, knowing that the way the Gholdengo deck plays, it's unlikely that you would find all the pieces to get enough energy in hand, plus some kind of like boss's orders to bring up the Kirlia for a KO. So I think in balance, it makes sense to go for it this way, especially because, as we've already discussed, getting the Jellicent out early can shut down the Gholdengo deck really hard.
Two sides of the story. It looks like everything perfect for KIAN to start, and anything but that for KIARAN. I don't think there's any way to search out Gholdengo EX at all. No supporter cards that can have effect. There is a Cypher Maniac's code breaking in hand, but with no way to draw cards from the top of the deck. You can prepare to have good top decks the next turn, but in terms of attacking pressure here, we may have to see KIARAN lean into that Strike It Rich Gholdengo. It's not typically solid in this matchup, sort of as a way to get through some of these wall Pokemon, the Safeguard Pokemon, Cornerstone. It's good in the mirror match, but you really want to have these gimme goals evolved into Gholdengo EX just to draw you a ton of cards. And yeah, that's what KIARAN's debating here. May have to actually burn this Energy Surge Pro early.
No.
And we saw KIAN grab Iono as the supporter for next turn, so you know all those energies you're going to grab are going to go to the bottom. Instead, is just going to play the Cypher Maniac and potentially take this turn off, not taking prize cards, and you really do not want to be doing that against any deck, especially Gardevoir EX.
No, you're really not, but unfortunately the position that you're being forced into just by virtue of what you have, and yeah, it never feels good to play a Cypher Maniac's code breaking just to set up your draw for next turn. You really want to be proactively using it in combination with the Gholdengo EX's coin bonus to get those cards immediately. Not an option that KIARAN has afforded to him right now, unfortunately for him.
I wonder what that top card will be. We saw Turo as the second card on top of the deck.
It was a Turo and a Genesect EX.
Yeah, and smart choice, not grabbing Nest Ball. You never know if that Jellicent's going to come up into the active spot next turn. Want to make sure, no matter what, nothing's going to stop Genesect EX from being benched and using that ability. No Klefki or weird tech cards for KIAN in that sense. We've seen some Gardevoir players go about, adding some disruptive pressure in that sense, but it seems to me that KIARAN's just going to take this turn, pass, and just give KIAN the ability to strike first in this matchup. Huge door opened for KIAN here.
Huge door opened for KIAN. I think KIARAN has prepared himself as best he can, given the circumstance was as awkward as it was. And especially now knowing with you playing the Cypher Maniac's code breaking, you know that KIAN had the Ino in hand, so you essentially force KIAN to make you draw two cards that you want if this Ino gets played.
And this is an instance here where KIAN having that Screamtail prize is a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
that one of these gimme ghoul on the bench would be an excellent target to knock out. Now that you're going to have 2 energy in the discard pile at minimum, you can use with that Psychic Embrace plus the energy retreated off this Monkey Dory. So Freya, from here, without having Screamtail as an option, is it just Jelly time, or is there another Pokemon we can possibly go into before we start to lean into this Jellicent EX strategy?
Yeah, no, I think it's still Jelly time, and the reason why I think it still works well is because you know that even though there's not any energy to get back from the discard pile with items that KIARAN usually would, there aren't that many ways to search the energy either. So if you send Jellicent into the active, even though you know KIARAN has 2 Gholdengo guaranteed, it's going to be a big effort to get the amount of energy you need in your hand to get the knockout regardless. So the item shuts off both the energy search and the energy recovery in a way where I think just, leaning into the Jellicent is completely fine.
And who needs Earthen Vessel? Just draw into those energies naturally. Ultra Ball, double Psychic Energy discarded. KIAN is not letting these prize cards hold him back in any capacity. Preemptively grabbing that Kirlia for next turn, wants to just make sure if Gardevoir goes down for some reason, can start to build that second one up. Rare Candy was already gone, and here we go. Jellicent comes active, and now the question is how many Psychic Embrace abilities? Are we just going to see all 4 energy put onto this Jellicent? We are leaning into this heavily. That Power Press attack now doing another boosted 80 damage, thanks to this Pokemon having an additional 2 energy attached. Monkey Gory goes down, and something we don't commonly say in this matchup, Gardevoir taking the first prize cards against Goldengo.
Yeah, that's not usually how it works, and I think it was possible, of course, because Kian was able to just find those extra 2 energies and the Ultra Ball to discard them. So, yeah, who needs Earthen Vessel? Where do you just have it all there? And it turns from maybe sending Jellicent active and passing, just not because you obviously don't want to put damage Monkey Dory to move, to actually being able to take the first prize of the game.
And now with this Jellicent active, once again, Oceanic Curse is available and online, meaning Kieran, as long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, cannot play item cards. So though this Jellicent does only have 190 HP left, meaning you would need 4 energy to discard from Make It Rain, getting those energy cards really not going to be easy since that Energy Surge Pro cannot be played, Earthen Vessel cannot be played, and I don't even know if there's a way to use a supporter card best under item block like the Cypher Maniac or the boss at this point. And if you do play this boss, what does your follow-up look like for the rest of the turn?
Yeah, not great, really. We do see that, of course, last time we mentioned the other card that Kieran put on top of the deck was that Professor Turris scenario, probably to give himself the option of either picking up a Goldengo active to draw an extra 2 cards by using another active coin bonus, or to, in case the Monkey Dory didn't get knocked out, being able to pick it up so you can send a Gimme Goal active.
Kieran is debating benching Pheasantipity EX, but that's a really big liability in this matchup, even against a variant like the Jellicent is going to put it down to play. And those are great 3 cards to find. Boss's Orders could break the item lock. Another Goldengo is just an extra card to be evolved. Now the question comes down to if you can play Boss's Orders. There, of course, was still one already in the hand, so it's just an extra card. If you even can play Boss, after this coin bonus, how many energy cards are available to be discarded with Make It Rain from that position? Oh, looks like we're just confirming everything is okay.
Oh, right, you caught the air balloon. You can't attach the air balloon because of the Jellicent.
Oh, wow, yeah. Let's not forget the tool cards have been discarded, or rather not discarded, they cannot be played down because of the Jellicent's ability. We're going to see Boss's Orders get played. It looks like everything's okay. So the boss was going to be played regardless onto the Ralts, but it's sort of a weird spot since you saw the top 2 cards of your deck and are then playing Boss's Orders. I guess we're just going to kind of let everything slide and go through. I feel like that information was pretty valuable there for Kieran. He's going to just roll with it. We'll see Earthen Vessel get played, and Ralts will go down. But, yeah, you always kind of forget those tools and item cards now under different branches, but Jellicent still blocks both of them.
Yeah. So apparently he only saw the top 1 of the draw, and I guess maybe if you're going to like commit to doing that move anyway, regardless of the information, maybe, you know, in sort of some it works out, I guess. But
for sure.
Either way, we managed to get it sorted before anything got too messy. So now you can fire off these Earthen Vessels, and yeah, with that Boss's Orders find, as you said, suddenly this turn turns from potentially very dicey into very, very, very good.
We'll be able to respond in kind with a knockout, but that Jellicent has yet to be contested at this point. It's still got all 4 of those energy cards on it. This Ralts will be KO'd, meaning, you know, another Gardevoir is going to have to be built up at some point. Does have that 3rd Goldengo EX to evolve. That last Gimme Goal did hit the board this turn, so we'll need to wait. But look at this. Kieran, after being Iono'd away, being put under item lock, finding a really solid combination of cards, responding in kind with Make It Rain, and now Kian can attack with Jellicent, but this board is so developed compared to the previous turn. There's just so many opportunities for Kieran to respond to Jellicent, whether it's dealing with it head-on or going after another Pokemon on the bench. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult with Iono being played.
Yeah, this is something very important to mention, actually, specifically. Kieran's list plays the full 4 copies of Boss's Orders, so to play around something like Jellicent specifically, you do have a lot of outs to it, which is why it makes sense that Kieran was able to find it that turn when it was needed most.
It is a key piece to note, these resources for both players. Kian does find Pheasantipity. It's going to play this Artisan first, just search another Pokemon. It will be that 3rd copy of Ralts coming down, so slowly but surely looking to get another Pokemon EX, Gardevoir EX established, is now kind of maybe second-guessing what this bench spot could look like. There is always the potential to just put more Monkey Dory into play. I feel like that's got to be, you know, your 2 best options of Pokemon to have down here.
Yeah, I feel like in an ideal world here, you would maybe like to get down Screentail just as, you know, that threatening option on the bench. But of course, it is in the prize card, so that's not something that you can do even if you would want to.
Will be Frillish instead, so preparing to have another Jellicent EX online in the following turns, potentially. You know, if Gardevoir EX stays active or, you know, stays not KO'd, you can easily power up another one. And if the Jellicent goes down, then Psychic Embrace will still be an option either way. And now the choice for KIAN is it worth putting a Pokemon like Pheasantipity down to just draw some more cards with Flip the Script? It's always a little bit of a liability, and, you know, using it, or rather holding onto it, can kind of make your hand look a little bit weaker than it is. It's just going to use this Power Press, hit for 160 damage, and with there being no Monkey Dory on Kieran's bench, KIAN could just be okay maybe dancing around a little bit and putting damage on these Pokemon since they cannot be healed at this current time.
I feel like in an ideal world, you would really like to find a Dark Energy that turn, right? You want to get some of this damage moved off of this Jellicent EX to so make it a little bit healthier and make it a little bit less vulnerable to an attack with the Goldengo EX, but just not able to find the Dark Energy was a bit unfortunate, and that maybe could have swung the debate one way or the other in terms of penchant to Pheasantipity, but KIAN deciding, because it is such a liability, not worth the risk at this moment in time.
Yeah, Monkey Dory is just so strong in this Gardevoir deck, and every turn you miss out using Adrenabrain, especially when you have damage on your board like this for the Jellicent, using just one Adrenabrain would require Kieran to have one more energy card to discard. Regardless, item cards currently shut off. Goldengo's active will use coin bonus, and there are still 3 coin bonus abilities yet to be used. Big question, however, is there a boss's orders? Is there enough energy cards, if not to KO this Pokemon? That superior energy retrieval is great, but as it stands right now, it's not going to be enough to KO. That is going to change with this Cypher Maniac's code breaking. Why use these item cards to search energies out when, if that's not an option, you can just put them to the top of the deck and draw into them thanks to that coin bonus ability?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the few times you will see Cypher Maniac's code breaking being used to stack 2 just physical energy cards specifically onto the top of the deck, knowing that you can't search out them with your Earthen Vessels or any of your items. So there it is, 2 energies to the top, coin bonus 2 times to draw them, and with the 2 energy already in hand, that is 4 energy in hand total, and that will be enough of the Make It Rain to KO this Jellicent EX.
So Kieran, you know, prioritizing saving the boss's orders until you can use something like those superior energy retrievals to get a lot of value, especially with the item lock not being the case. And yeah, you just see right there, missing the energy card, or rather missing the dark energy on KIAN's side, making it possible for Kieran to use all the energy cards remaining in the hand to take this KO. KIAN's been drawing well, but sometimes those small misses can really shift the pace of a match. We'll see if he's able to get another one on, and that's the top deck for turn, the dark energy. Look, better late than never, but it's one piece again. That would have been super helpful the previous turn to just put more damage on Kieran's side.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the play for KIAN this turn has to be get the Jellicent back if you can, evolve the Phyllis the Active into it, power it up, attach this Dark Energy to the Monkey Dory so you can go ahead and move some of the Psychic Embrace damage off and fire off an INO to really disrupt Kieran's hand. That's got to be what you'd be aiming for. And yeah, Pheasantipity Flip the Script is going to try and dig for that. There's the INO. But is there a way to get back the Jellicent?
So it looks like we'll see Flip the
there it
Script
is.
used, and yeah, there it is. Night Stretcher grabbing the Jellicent EX, putting it into play and evolving it. I'm going to have to see if we can see the Iono be played. We're going to play Nest Ball as well, just to grab another Pokemon out of the deck. Is there another Monkey Dory down potentially? All the other options really don't seem great. It seems like we're just going to see the Nest Ball fail, not grab anything, and then that third Iono. So only one remaining left for KIAN after this is played. We'll just go ahead and get get the 5 cards from that Iono. We'll have to see how the rest of this game plays out.
So yeah, there is the INO now. So this is about as ideal a turn as KIAN could have asked for. Kieran's going to take a very good look at what was in the hand just to make sure that he knows what's being stuck there on the bottom. 3 cards for Kieran, 3 for Kieran, 5 for KIAN. It's a little bit easy to mix up those 2 names sometimes. And then, a bunch of Dark Energy found for KIAN as well. Going to be able to set up some Monkey Dory nicely over the next turn or 2 to really start to get some of this damage off of this Jellicent before it becomes a problem. Psychic Embrace 4 energy on, 80 damage across. We'll be able to take a knockout on this Goldengo inactive as well as move free damage with the Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain on something else. Oh, and a counter catcher for good measure onto the Genesect EX.
Yeah, so it looks like KIAN is kind of just committed to this devolution strategy potentially. He's going to just go ahead and put pressure onto Genesect, try and buy himself a turn, and then let's have to see where these Psychic Embrace, or rather Monkey Dories, go. It looks like we're actually just going to see it hit the active, go to 190, and hope that putting damage on this Genesect stays if Kieran doesn't have a card like Professor Turo's Scenario. Will only be drawing 1 card from each of these Goldengo EX. thanks to them being on the bench, and Keynote not taking a knockout, meaning that Pheasantipity cannot use Flip the Script this turn.
This is something that we see Gardevoir players do so often, just manipulating the damage in a way where you're making them just short of a knockout, but not triggering the knockout so that you can't, but you force your opponent to have less outs to what they need because they can't use Pheasantipity EX's Flip the Script. Super heads up from KIAN.
KIAN's just giving himself a bunch of options. We'll have to see how he navigates the end game of here. He's just not taking knockouts, putting damage on these Pokemon, and looking to just close things out potentially in a big 4 to 6 prize turn. Excited to see how our first game is going to conclude. These players are doing their best, putting it all on the battlefield for us. As Genesect will start the turn off, Keynote shuffling the deck, so those cards on the bottom, there was Boss's Orders, Professor Turo, those cards are going to now be shuffled and randomized in the deck, no longer on the bottom. I have to assume something like that Professor Turo has got to be a card that Kieran is looking to find off these coin bonuses. Let's see what he can get.
Yeah, so there's one. Was that it already? Is that why you're stopping? No, thinking about it?
I mean, it's important to think about every card, every ability that you use. We're going to just see, at minimum, 2 of these coin bonuses used.
That was a Narvin.
Use the Turo to go into this Air Balloon to Goldengo to then get essentially 2 bonus coin bonus abilities for 4 cards instead of 2 generally. But it looks like there may not be Turo in the hand just yet. It's going to
so far.
Use this last Goldengo or one more. Just
another Arvin.
Or Arvin. There is a Boss's Orders in the hand. However, there's no copies of something like Superior Energy Retrieval. So Freya, the question now becomes, do you play Boss onto another 1 prize Pokemon and KO that? With there being still the 2 Lightning Energy, only 1 in the discard pile, 1 is still unavailable. That Lavincia is only getting 1 energy back, meaning you would still need to find another card. We're going to see no coin bonus used at this point. And let's not forget, Kieran still missing a way to move this Genesect out of the active spot. I'm not sure there's any potential for the Goldengo to come up and attack this turn. You can find the Air Balloon off the Arvin, but then the question is, what else are you doing during your turn?
Well, yeah, I mean, finding that Professor Turo scenario that turn was absolutely vital. That was essentially the enabler that could let you have a really good comeback turn, but Kieran, even after 4 coin bonus, was not able to find it.
And he is just going to have to do what he did on the first turn of the game. Use Cypher Maniac, preemptively stack the deck with some solid cards on the following turn. And you see that Turo get put to the front and then realize it's best turn to be played. This turn has passed. Now there may just be better cards to put on top. But how do you route this last game? KIAN's still got to take these 5 prize cards. As it stands, Genesect can easily be knocked out thanks to an Adrenabrain. But how will KIAN go about taking these last prize cards? He's got a lot of disposals thanks to how his deck is built.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And I'm sure he'll be bearing that in mind as he takes these last turns of the game very, very seriously. Of course, we've discussed it already with so much on the line. Every single move has to be so meticulously and carefully thought out. If you just joined us, by the way, we are currently at Swiss Round 11, the last Swiss round of the Pokemon World Championships here in Anaheim. These 2 players are playing it out for a chance to win and make their way into the top cut, the last phase of the tournament, to play for the win of the whole thing. So there is a heck of a lot on the line for these 2 right now.
And this is exactly what you want to see if you're KIAN. The Jellicent doing its job, shutting those item and tool cards off. You can't even use the Arvin. I keep forgetting at this point, the Genesect is still just locked in the active spot. Turn is the only way to move that out. So just having to go for the way to pass things over. Jellicent doing exactly what it wants. Monkey Dory, Adrenabrain to start the turn off KIAN. Evening things up at 3 prize cards. How will he go about the rest of this turn? Is there another Monkey Dory available to be benched at this spot? The Dark is in hand, the Ultra Ball is there too, and even just has Artisan. Even better, get rid of that Lavincia. It's no longer going to be able to get energy cards out of the discard pile and can grab another basic Pokemon if there is something like another monkey in the deck.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see one though. Unless, oh no, there it is. Okay, I'll just flick you through quickly. So yeah, with the amount of Dark Energy in KIAN's hand, getting down another Monkey Dory with one of those other Dark Energy in the hand feels pretty good, because then you essentially make this Jellicent completely fresh damage-wise, and it's going to be so hard for Kieran to find a knockout, especially with the amount of energy resources that have already been expended.
It's just a bit of a debate, because you really want 2 Pokemon down in that spot. The Monkey Dory is great, but another Frillish in play would also be very solid. However, there is one in the discard pile, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get that into play. KIAN may not have the resources to make that happen. It's just going to take maybe a bit more of a conservative approach. Bench this Monkey Dory, attach a Dark Energy to it. big other thing to note as well, there's no more Psychic Energy in the discard pile, so you're still only really getting to move 2 damage counters off one of your Pokemon this turn, since you can't afford to retreat this Jellicent because you've got really no better attacker to use in this spot.
Yeah, I think the only time now, really, where you retreat Jellicent is if you're doing it for the win. Say, you know, you get those energy off, bring up a Gardevoir to do 190 damage or something, load up the Gardevoir with energy, move the damage across with Adrenabrain, and finish things off with an attack from the Gardevoir to win. I think that's the only situation you do that here.
And now, with there being just 3 prizes for KIAN, is this where you start to just go for something like a Devolution line, where you can hit this active with Power Press, put damage counters on the bench Goldengo? We're going to just go ahead and see sort of the damage split between both of these Goldengo EX. Another Power Press for 160. Balloon was put to the top of the deck the previous turn, but now with that Genesect being KO'd, you have to wonder how much usage is that Air Balloon getting, especially since you committed your supporter card the previous turn to putting that on top of the deck.
Yeah, because you'd have to boss's orders to shut off the Jellicent so you can attach that Air Balloon in the first place, and the Jellicent is really the thing you want to be dealing with. So, like, no matter what you're targeting, it just doesn't feel great if you're Kieran here.
We'll just check through the deck with this Night Stretcher. We've already expended half of our time in this round. We are 25 minutes through playing a long and potentially decisive game 1. You've got to be feel in a great spot when half the time off the clock is burnt and you won a long game number 1. Both players still feel like they have a chance, and I'd have to agree, this is still anyone's game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Although I got to say, in the overall balance of things, I think I've got to give it to KIAN here. I think KIAN has set up a very good board state to really deal with any... It's to shut off the options that Kieran has to deal with KIAN's options. And this is a Jellicent EX doing exactly what it does in terms of shutting this matchup down. But there we see the boss's orders going to bring in that Pesadipity EX. So now Kieran will be able to start playing some of these items. He's going to need to consider things very carefully to make sure that all the items that he plays this turn set up the win for next turn if possible.
Yeah, and this is really a big thing as well, since KIAN's energies are all stuck onto this Jellicent EX, meaning there's really going to be, again, no potential to maximize usage from these Munkidori, since you just cannot afford to retreat the energies off and go into another Pokemon. There's just not a better attacker, it seems. Kieran setting himself up to go to just 1 prize card remaining and potentially be just a prize card away from being up 1 game to nothing if there's a boss's orders or something of that nature.
Yeah, and so Kieran's going to take through this turn now. Some more coin bonus is going to be fired off to get some more of these cards out of the deck. I do believe, especially having drawn that Superior Energy Retrieval, you do have enough energy now to take the knockout onto this Pesadipity EX, but then you have to consider what the follow-up is. And I think if you're KIAN, you're going to be wanting to send this Gelatin up to the active, you're going to want to fire off an INO, maybe bring it up, if you can get a counter catcher, maybe that could be great to bring up a Goldengo with no energy on it, do the attack, and then finish things off with a Devolution, devolving all 3 of these, or all 4 of them.
Let's not forget, we've yet to see a supporter card be played for Kieran. Is this a spot where Turo can just make it so that play is not possible for Devolution?
Oh, true,
just remove
yeah.
one of these Goldengo EX. I feel like this is probably the best opportunity to make that happen.
Yeah, because then if at that point, if you do that, you would then force KIAN to be able
of course, boss's orders has been played. So we're looking a little bit ahead, but even Turo, another previous turn later down the line, it's going to be a big card for Kieran to look out for at this point.
Yeah, there's the Superior Energy Retrieval, getting back a bunch of energy from the discard pile. Going to pick specifically the Dark, the Fire, the Fighting, and the Psychic. That's 4 energies in hand. We know that there's another one in hand from the Lavincia, and a Metal to power up the attack cost of this Goldengo, and just preemptively playing the Night Stretcher as well, just to get back that Munkidori onto the bench as well, to move maybe some of this damage across. Really, really smart.
And now with Munkidori being online, Adrenabrain is essentially getting the most use possible. It's just 1 monkey against 2. When you've got all this damage left over on your board, it's just going to become absolutely crucial to use Adrenabrain and put things potentially out of range down the line. So every turn, Munkidori can just move those 3 damage counters off, and I expect to see Kieran just place it on the active, make it a little bit easier to KO, and importantly, not give that damage to KIAN to throw back into the board on Kieran's side. So Kieran's, after a couple of slow turns, right, really slow turn 2, really slow turn the previous turn, has fought his way back into this game despite the pressure of disruption that Jellicent has put on, and again is 1 prize card away from closing out this long first game.
So Adrenabrain now coming in. I wonder if there's a world here in which you take this free damage, move it onto the Pesadipity EX, so that way the maths works out. You now need to discard 1 less energy to take the knockout here. That's really cool.
Yeah, he's just going to put 1 damage counter on. Moving 3 or moving 1 really not a big difference. And by keeping more damage on your board, you make it so that you're almost always going to have access to Adrenabrain on the following turn. So KIARAN just maximizing the potential, taking this knockout with Make It Rain. Now it is on KIAN. So as things stand right now, you know, unironically, if one of these Goldengo that were damaged was the non-50 HP Gimme Ghoul, then KIAN could actually use this devolution play. But it is key to note that one of the Goldengo that has damage on it is that Call for Family Gimme Ghoul. Having 50 HP means that if there is just only 2 Psychic Embrace or 2 Adrenabrains used, it's not going to take a KO. But interestingly enough, KIAN's actually going to send this Gardevoir EX into the active spot to try and capitalize off some Psychic Embrace power.
I think as long as KIAN can find this TM Devolution, he has game, because he can go ahead and use Psychic Embrace to move a bunch of damage onto the Gardevoir, and then do Adrenabrain 3 times with the remaining Monkey Dory and Dark Energy in hand, and then that you can do TM Devolution, move 90 across, and then you can KO free Gimme Ghoul that way. I think the one bit that's missing, though, is that TM Devolution. We don't see it in the hand.
Well, yeah, the energy would not be an issue since you could just promote the Jealousy.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Gardevoir being promoted makes me think that's not as much of a possibility. If there's only 2 Psychic Energy, it may just have to be another hit with Jealousy. Disrupt. Big find there for KIAN. 1 Iono left in the deck. Needed to find it this turn, and an absolutely clutch draw. KIAN has found Iono at every important moment throughout this first game.
Yeah, and going to put a Dark Energy onto the Pheasantipity as well, just to prevent it from being stuck in the active, and after that, a big Iono for KIAN.
Cannot stress that enough. This essentially keeps KIAN in the game. If there was no disruptive pressure, KIARAN has built up an absolutely massive hand. Almost 12 or so cards would easily be able to close the game out on the following turn. Now will be put to just 1 card in hand. KIAN drawing into 3 does find the Technical Machine Devolution, but nothing like a Counter Catcher, Frey. I have to imagine something like Counter Catcher into TM Devolution next turn, not triggering that Pheasantipity's Flip the Script ability, could have just been a little bit more solid. Now the question is going to be, do you attack here with this Jellicent? And honestly, it is an interesting debate. Turo could mess up your plans greatly, but not giving your opponent an extra 3 cards to draw could also be a huge difference maker.
Yeah, it is marginal. I think if I'm KIAN in this situation, I am just passing, but it is very tough, because you know that it's, I mean, you're right at the edge. This is the last Swiss round of the World Championships. You have to think things through. I think you can literally see KIAN doing the maths on his hand, like thinking about the probabilities. What is the best way for me to guarantee that I can still do this play next turn to win the game? As we do see there debating on the Monkey Dory, the Adrenabrain, where to move this damage to, because yeah, 1 Turo scenario could absolutely wreck things here, so you have to be mindful of that and play around it.
There is no more hand disruption for KIAN. Any cards that KIARAN builds up in his hand will stay there. They will not be shuffled back in. There is nothing that will stop this Goldengo deck from amassing massive hand size. So here it goes for KIAN. He's got to decide how he wants to go about spreading damage, and it looks like it's just going to be putting pressure on this bench Goldengo EX, which at least to me, Freya, signals that he's looking to take this KO on the active, and thus make sure the Goldengo EX on the bench can possibly fall on the following turn.
Yeah. I guess the other option you could go for is just maybe Adrenabrain to take the knockout next turn, and then just Power Press for knockout as well, or maybe something else. You can go for this Monkey Dory with the Power Press to take a knockout as well. So there are a few different ways you could go about it. But no, actually just going to go for it now. KO onto the active Goldengo. What does KIARAN draw?
How many Boss's orders have been expanded? That's really the big question. And I think what he's looking through, I think we've just seen 1 Boss's orders, maybe 2. Like you mentioned, Freya, there are 4 in the deck and plenty of ways to draw cards. Flip the Script will start the turn off. So 3 cards here for KIARAN. Can he find the boss? Does not, but that Turo was there. So good news for KIAN to go for this line. There is the Counter Catcher, can't be played. We'll see the coin bonus on the active. Big finds here. Does find Superior Energy Retrieval. Is there a boss in the hand? No, still missing boss, but we can still draw an additional 3 cards this turn. Retreating into 1 Goldengo to use its coin bonus, and then the last one being in the active spot. Big card draws here. Just needs to find Boss's orders, and this game is over. Finds the Boss's orders! Huge time find for KIARAN in a 35-minute game 1. Closes things out after this. Real smart with the Charizard deck. Moving into our top cut at 28 points. Could potentially be dodging that ASIM. This is a big day for Charizard fans, as KIAN will be opting to go first in this game number 2. Price cards don't look too terrible. Those Earthen Vessel no longer hide it out. Replaced by those 2 Psychic Energy. This is all you really need as a Gardevoir player on turn 1. Frillish active means Jellicent's threatened for some item lock. You can even, of course, attack with the Frillish itself. and getting Ralts down. Very, very standard stuff for this Gardevoir deck.
Absolutely.
On these first couple turns.
Absolutely, it is. Although I've got to mention here, unless Kieran has a very good top deck here, that hand is looking pretty. Oh, okay. I completely missed the Buddy Puff. Never mind. I thought the hand was looking really bad, but no, it's completely fine.
A little snack goes a long way in the Pokemon TCG.
Sure does.
Buddy Poffin, the staple card of a lot of these standard decks, just getting these 70 HP Pokemon into play. Prize cards, not looking too bad. I think time pending, we are going to have a great second game. Just checking through the deck, wants to see what Pokemon are available. And it looks like with the cards being queued to the top, Arvin may be very near in Kieran's future as our supporter choice.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing I just didn't quite see as well, as that completely turns the hand into potentially really scary and bad to really, really good, as Nesple's going to find that Genesect EX can go ahead and fire off that metallic signal, really the difference maker in Goldengo being as good as it is to get 2 Metal Evolution Pokemon out of the deck. Really, really strong. And with that Air Balloon as well, the other piece that we've talked about a few times already that really turned Goldengo into the tier 1 monster that it is, taking that flexibility with retreating.
Can you just grab the Genesect EX out of play, use that ability, start to grab the Goldengo EX, and get the pieces rolling. Will be expected to go under item lock, and the one piece missing at this point is a Metal Energy. However, is just going to commit the fire to this Gimmighoul to use that minor Aaron running. Every turn is important to use Iono. This is definitely one of the more important ones, as you'll be able to take this Metal Energy in Kieran's hand and put it to the bottom of the deck. We'll see if Kian's got that, or even just another way to get this board set up. It looks like it's Jellicent time super early on. Who needs Psychic Embrace if there's just another Psychic Energy? Jellicent can start to get in there and attack into these Gimmighoul.
Yeah, there's really this Gimmighoul that came out in the Surging Spark set. It's kind of a small difference maker, but it really was, it very quickly became the optimal Gimmighoul to get, of course. Just, I mean, what does Goldengo want? Energy in the hand. What does that Gimmighoul do? Get the energy to the hand. So it's a pretty good early attack.
To be fair, there have been so many Gimmighoul cards printed. It's kind of ridiculous in a sense. I expected, you know, 1 or 2. I think there's like 4 or 5 Gimmighoul cards that exist. So trainers really having to choose which cards they use. There's nothing going on for Kian in this hand. He is really relying off the back of this Jellicent to carry him through. However, Kieran's already got that Genesect down. The Goldengo are in the hand. If this Jellicent somehow goes down this turn, this could definitely spell disaster for Kian. There's going to be a pretty sizable amount of card draw for Kieran at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few energy in the hand already, so just searching a few more and be able to get there. I was here saying, oh, worried about Kieran having a bad hand, but Kian's hand is absolutely horrendous. Just evolve, attach, attack, and at least take a KO, but the KO didn't really help with the prize either. It's just an Ultra Ball, a Night Stretcher, and a Psychic Energy.
And just 1 Ralts on the bench, meaning that if Kieran wants to give himself items, he would do so and knock out the only option for Gardevoir EX to come into play next turn. Essentially the best Pokemon you want to knock out. 2 in 1 sounds like a good deal to me. Kieran's yet to really have those solid pieces, right? Still missing something like the boss's orders. Does at minimum have the Metal Energy, but we're going to have to see some good cards off coin bonus if Kieran wants to make his dreams come true.
Yeah, so first 2. Oh, those are 2 more energy. That's pretty good.
I think we're now just 1 energy card away from having the KO.
Yeah, you're right. So what's this? Is 1 coin bonus fine to find 1 more energy?
What do we see?
I think that was the Superior Energy Retrieval.
Superior Energy Retrieval does not do much. So we see Metal Energy active, and I think we're probably just going to see the pass of the turn over. No real reason to dump these energy cards. I guess with the Levincia, this is actually okay. Yeah, having a Stadium card, very good to recover energies.
Okay, what does he can draw for turn? Is it helpful? It's a Monkey Dory.
That might not be cutting it. Yeah, this is not what you want to see. Final game of your World Championship run. Does have the Ultra Ball. I think we may have to see a desperation play as Mew EX will be the grab to use Restart to just try and draw into something, because if Kian can't get these Pokemon down into play from here, it's going to spell disaster very quickly.
Yeah, but this is really not something you want to bench. We're talking about how Serendipity EX is a liability with 210 HP on a 2-prizer. Mew is 180. All it needs is 4 energy on a Goldengo EX with a Make It Rain, and you take the knockout on it. It's really not what you want to be putting down, but Kian not really having much of a choice. Night Stretcher, get back to Monkey Dory, Restart for 3 cards. What does he find?
Okay, does find the Technical Machine Evolution and a Dark Energy for the Monkey, but I feel like you have to just continue to attack at this point. You know, you can go and get this Ralts evolved, but at least putting some pressure on this Goldengo means next turn with a Power Press, you can just at least apply pressure and take a knockout. It's
no.
just going to really prioritize this Ralts, not dealing damage to the active, and just using this Technical Machine evolution to get Kirlia into play, since there is a very realistic threat that this Jellicent EX does go down this turn.
Yeah, and I think KIAN just accepting and acknowledging that, just prioritizing this Kirlia. But now this means if Kieran is able to, after this deck fin for the Metallic Signal, if he's able to find that boss's orders, he can bring up that Kirlia, take a very meaningful knockout, and KIAN is just going to be stuck even more.
Yeah, I wonder, you know, if it's even worth playing the boss next turn if there's just one more energy being found. What is KIAN's best attacker on the following turn if Jellicent goes down?
Yeah, I guess
is
so,
it a snipe from the Screen Tail? Is it a KO with, you know, or is it a Mind Bend with the Monkey Dory? I think Kieran, if he can, would be more than okay to just knock this Jellicent out. It took damage last turn, so as long as there's 4 energy cards, which there's 3 there, and if there's a Lavincia, which there is, this Pokemon could go down. We'll have to see which choice Kieran wants to make between playing boss's orders or just taking this KO.
Yeah, I guess to be fair as well, if you KO this Jellicent, you keep yourself very nicely on the 2-2-2 prize map, which is really where you want to be if you're playing Goldengo. Take out the Jellicent, maybe take out the Gardevoir and a Mew EX. That seems like a pretty good 2-2-2 map to me.
There are pros and cons for this play. I don't think it's super, you know, clear cut, but it's never a bad idea to just go after the Gardevoir line and shut options down, since it puts KIAN again on a pressure clock to get a Ralts down at minimum, but then again use a rare candy to evolve. So I think I like this play here from Kieran. He's going to now use that Lavincia to get those 2 lightning energy back. If that stays in play, the cycle can continue, and even under item lock, these energies can be recovered. Not something you want to see as a Gardevoir player.
Yeah, and you can go ahead and use, now that you have access to items again, go ahead and use that Night Stretcher to recover that Gimme Ghoul that was knocked out with the Power Press early on. You do have the Energy Search Pro in hand as well. You could maybe consider firing that off now if you think it's worthwhile. There's also an Earthen Vessel to search a few more energy, but looks like Kieran's going to be pretty content to just go ahead and discard those 2 lightning energy that were found from the Lavincia to take the KO on this Kirlia and take his first prize card of this game.
And it looks like we're going to have to rely off these support Pokemon. Mew for 2 doesn't find any supporter cards. It's going to be flipped to script. KIAN, you got to find something here if you want to stay in this game.
There's a research.
Does find Professor's Research. Arven as well in the hand. Is there really a choice, I feel like? You got to, I think, just play this Research and dump and draw. Now the question becomes, are you just going to be attacking with this Jellicent? Your opponent has yet to really discard any energy cards. The Lavincia's in play, and there's only 1 energy besides those lightning in the discard pile. You've almost got to expect this Jellicent to most likely get knocked out on the following turn.
Yeah, it can't be a good feeling, especially knowing that even if you send up this Jellicent, it's so easy for Kieran to get more energy back into the hand because you have the Lavincia that can get it back without making use of any items. It's interesting to see how this has kind of started to creep its way into the Goldengo deck as a way of, you know, getting back energies under item lock. It's always like this mini package, just 2 lightning energy and Lavincia. It's super, super strong though.
Interestingly enough, we're actually going to see this last spot be used for the Frillish, so preparing for another potential Jellicent EX as KIAN's main attackers in this matchup, drawing through the deck, and does find Secret Box. Not sure we'll see that get used this turn, but it's more than happy to be played in the following turns. And with the way this hand is shaped out, even if Jellicent goes down, KIAN's going to have the resources to get another Gardevoir set up. Let's not forget, this Goldengo deck is not playing any way to disrupt the opponent's hand, so KIAN is pretty confident he's going to be able to easily execute his strategies if he's sitting on a powerful hand, since there's no disruption.
Yeah, so it's always a nice feeling when you know your opponent isn't playing any hand disruption cards, so you can plan so many more turns ahead without worrying that your card's going to go away. It's a very, very good feeling indeed. It is debating maybe playing the Secret Box now, but thinking about it, yeah, I think they're going to be discarding these Nest Ball, of course, not very useful right now given that the bench is full.
Yeah, and the big problem is this Lavincia. It's just going to get so much value for Kieran next turn that KIAN is considering just using this to bump the stadium, but no, is going to let Kieran have another turn with Lavincia, and with the way this board is shaped, Goldengo can get evolved. That's another Gimme Ghoul protected, and with there being 3 energy in hand, at minimum, Jellicent will be going down this turn. Even finds another boss's orders for good measure. This is just high counts of boss, really coming in clutch, and I'm sure has been super strong for Kieran all weekend long.
Yeah, and honestly, if I'm Kieran, I'm thinking, again, maybe I just target down the Ralts one more time. I can get back 2 energy to KO without making use of any items. I deny KIAN the possibility of making any kind of comeback by parrying something up with the Gardevoir EX, and it puts me back on that 2 prize knockout prize map to win the game. So maybe just go for the Ralts again.
He's even thinking about using Turo potentially as the supporter for turn. You could pick up the Genesect realistically. It's only really just a liability. You really don't need to find any more of these evolution Pokemon. Just keep that like away as an option. However, having Turo, we saw multiple opportunities where it could have been solid last turn, so I think this is fine from Kieran. Hold on to that resource. You know it could be powerful later on, and instead just play the Arven to grab some more of these cards out of hand, even potentially some non-useful cards like Buddy Buddy Poffin, just so that you don't draw into them if something like Iono comes down on the following turn, and that's exactly what Kieran's going to do here.
Yeah, just make sure that all of the useless cards are in your hand, which is normally not something you want, but if you know your opponent is like the Iono you would much rather your useless cards be at the bottom of the deck. So very smart and heads up from Kieran there.
Already sitting on just so much, he would prefer to not get Iono'd, but if he does, he'd rather take some of these bad cards and make it so that they aren't drawn into the hand. So with Levincia, 5 energies, exactly enough to take the KO onto Jellicent EX, and Kieran is yet again running away early with this game when it comes to the pressure. We'll go down to just 3 prize cards remaining and potentially 2 knockouts away from getting himself into the top cut of the World Championships.
So over to Kian rather now, as he has to think about how best to approach us. Draws a Psychic Energy for a turn, which is really great because that means there's some very nice and easy discard options there that he knows he's not going to need. And now Secret Box is going to find all sorts of good stuff. There's a rare candy to get the God of War out straight away.
Yeah, that's piece number 1, rare candy. We'll see the Artisan for sure, and you have to imagine Iono from here on out.
There it is.
Gotta be the optimal supporter. Will be the choice, and even grabs the one of Bravery Charm. Can use that to maybe beef up some of these Pokemon just a little bit more to make them more difficult to be KO'd. At minimum, it's never a bad card to have. Have to imagine at this point, it's not really going to be a big make or break card. Kian will just be able to get down another Monkey Dory. The Night Stretcher can grab back the 1 Jellicent EX. Kian will essentially be set up at this point. Decided to actually, looks like not use the Artisan, so may not have a Dark Energy in hand just yet. Just going to put that hand to the bottom, shuffle those into the bottom, draw into 5 cards. He's yet to use Artisan again, does find the counter catcher. So is this now an option where, unlike in the first game, it's best to just go for a Devolution line? You can go after the other Goldengo, use the Psychic Embrace. This could actually be what Kian wants to do, and it's exactly going to be his line. I think this is looking a lot better in terms of mapping out prizes and rather board control in this game.
Yeah, and especially now that you put Kieran onto a low hand size, it's much less likely that Kieran will be able to find Professor Tura's scenario to be able to, you know, disrupt this line to play from happening. Monkey Dory comes in with the Adrenabrain to move some damage onto the bench Goldengo EX, and then it's just going to be that power press for 160.
Well, the math is perfect here. No matter what, even if an Adrenabrain comes out on Kieran's side, Kian just needs 1 Adrenabrain to make sure all these Pokemon are in Devolution range, and he's also, once again, under item lock. Going to shuffle the deck, knows a lot of those solid cards were at the bottom, can thin out this Goldengo and the Goldengo EX. Kieran, it just feels like, has come up clutch in these moments, finding the pieces. But if there is just 1 turn of miss, especially this turn, if a Gimme Ghoul at minimum does not come down, Kieran will lose all of his attackers in play, can, however, get it with the Artisan, so that is an option. However, if the Devolution strategy works, and more importantly, Kieran does not take a prize card this turn, the tempo will swing widely into Kian's favor.
Yeah, absolutely will. So this is going to be the crucial turn for Kieran here. What can he find off of these coin bonuses to try and stop this devastating TM Devolution play from being as impactful as it could be? That's
2 items.
No good.
Losses, orders. There's just Pokemon items and energy. It's only down to, it looks like this 1 last coin bonus, another item. There is nothing going on here in this hand for Kieran. Can essentially make it rain for no damage. You need a miracle here. 1 more card off the coin bonus.
What's he find? It's an air balloon.
It's an air balloon. There is just nothing going on. And that means if Kian can play a Technical Machine Devolution next turn, he could just swing this game that seemed to be oh so in favor of Kieran after for Kieran's favor after such a slow start, and it's just going to be a pass. All Kian needs is just to find that Technical Machine Devolution. Just going to slam the Iono immediately, draw 5 cards. Do we see it? And finds the TM Devo. Kian ripping the exact card he needs will knock out all of these Goldengo after they're de-evolved into the smaller Pokemon, the Gimme Ghoul, taking 3 prize cards and putting Kieran in an absolutely awful spot. With time winding down, right now, we're going to be in turns of time, especially since we'll get confirmation. Kian is turn 0, so he'll only have 1 more turn to win this game, Freya, but just needs to take that last prize card, or rather last 2 prize cards, and he's all set.
So, I mean, let's see what Kieran can do here, if anything. Kieran will have 2 turns to take 3 prizes himself to try and cement the win and actually win the match. Kian is just playing for the tie here. That's the tricky thing. Like, KIAN knows he's in a position where you can't really get the win to win the match and make it to the top of the world. But
I think if KIARAN plays this correctly, he actually can't lose this game. Because KIAN will get confirmation here, KIAN should be turn 0. So KIAN with being turn 0, it's turn 1 number right now. KIAN only has one more turn to play this game, Freya. Okay. If KIARAN leaves, KIAN cannot play any gusting cards. There's no counter catcher available since KIARAN is behind on prizes.
Right, of course,
If you just decide to leave your board as Gimmighoul Genesect, how does KIAN take 2 prize cards next turn? You can't put enough damage onto this Gimmighoul and knock it out. The only way that's possible would actually be with that one Bravery Charm using the Roaring Scream to take a KO. So if KIARAN could actually find Professor Turo, pick up the Genesect this turn, that would mean there's essentially no way for KIAN to take a one-hit KO on this Gholdengo EX, but I'm not sure he found that, and if he has to bench another Pokemon like Pheasantipity, that won't be an option, so KIARAN is really going to open the doors up for Roaring Scream to possibly close this game out.
I mean, Roaring Scream, it was prized in the last game, of course, but not the case here, so we know it is something that KIAN has access to. It's something that I'm sure KIARAN will be thinking about as well, but KIARAN is also thinking, I have 2 turns here, I need to... if I really want to cement this game, I need to take 3 more prizes here. I need to either do that or, like you said, just make sure that I stop KIAN from taking 2 prizes of his own.
It has to be the latter. There is really no incentive for KIARAN to make plays towards winning the game. It changes nothing.
Yeah.
If he wins this game or if the game doesn't finish, it's the same.
And that's a Turo!
Yeah, has the Turo, but had to bench Pheasantipity. That's the issue, right? If it was just the Genesect in play, then this Turo would essentially lock the game up. There would really be no way. Yep, it's just going to pass, and now it's on KIAN. If KIAN can find that Bravery Charm and the Scream Tail with the Monkey Dory, if there is a way to just put 10 more damage, rather, onto this Jellicent EX, then it does become possible to use Roaring Scream. However, if there's just a way to knock out the Genesect instead, that's it. So we're going to have to see how many energy KIAN has. Is going to need a total of 6 energy cards. There's 3 here, and we're going to see research. So there's the Bravery Charm and has the Artisan plus the Nest. I think that's going to be it. Yes, KIAN has the resources to win this game. Bravery Charm, Scream Tail on the final turn. KIAN will use a powerful Roaring Scream to knock out Genesect, and with this being in turns of time, it seems that this match, back and forth, will be a draw.